Okay, welcome back, ATMGamer Squad. Now, this is going to be the rules for the NBA 2K22 BlackTop season slash, tournament slash finals. Um, that I'm going to be starting. Okay. Um, I don't know if y'all remember that last 2K video that I made or whatnot, but at the end, if you stuck around long enough, I was talking about this and I was talking about how I wanted to do it. So I do have rules here because I do want to do it. I feel like it's gonna be fun. So let's get into the basic rules before we get into the extra shit here about this. Now, firstly, when it comes down to this here season and blacktop, okay, for 2K22, there it's gonna consist of 5v5s to 21 points full court, okay? Then um the teams are only allowed to use their starting lineups, okay? For every team, they're only able to use their starting lineup. No other players, okay? Next, there is a win barrier and a loss limit. I'm going to explain to you what that means, okay? So, the win barrier starts at getting 10 W's before getting 10 L's. So, basically, for the win barrier, okay? In order to reach the win barrier or in order to break the win barrier, you would have to get 10 W's before you get 10 L's, or get 10 wins before you get 10 losses, okay? And then for the loss limit starts at getting 10 losses before you get 10 W's, okay? So in order to reach that or break that loss limit, you gotta that's when you reach 10 losses before you reached 10 W's. Well, when a team, I'm talking about you, when a team reaches 10 losses before they reach 10 W's, okay? So here, when a team breaks the win barrier, okay, this will result in that team getting a +1 to their loss limit, okay? And that team will move on to the next round. All right. There's rounds in the season. Okay. Just to make the season kind of short. Okay. Anyways, though, going back to the +1 to loss limit. Okay. So like I just said, with the loss limit, it starts at getting 10 losses before 10 um wins. So the starting point for the loss limit is going to be at 10 already. So when you break the win barrier, when a team breaks the win barrier, they get a +1 to their loss limit, right? So if the loss limit starts at getting 10 losses, that means when they break the win barrier, they're going to get a +1 to their loss limit, meaning it's going to result in a loss limit of 11 instead of a loss limit of 10. Now, let me continue reading real quick so you can understand why that is, okay? So, hitting the loss limit results in elimination, right? Okay, so um when it comes down to the loss limits, okay? Um when it comes down to the loss limits, they will reset, okay? They all will reset. And we're going to read that in a minute when we start getting into the rounds, okay? But let me finish reading this real quick. So a 4-win streak will result in a team moving to the next round plus 1 and +1 to their loss limit. Okay, so there's two ways to get a +1 to a team's loss limit. As you can see, it's breaking the win barrier, which is 10 wins, and then also it is getting a 4-win streak. Okay, Now getting a 4 loss streak will result in elimination. Okay. Now moving on to rounds. This is going to explain the loss limit a little bit better. Okay. Now there will be 3 rounds. Okay. There will be 3 rounds before we start getting into the finals or whatever. To reach each round, a team must break the win barrier. Okay. Each time the win barrier is broken, both the win barrier and the loss limit resets, and then they drop by 2. Okay. So that's for both the win barrier and the loss limit. So when a team reaches and breaks the win barrier of 10 wins, okay, before they reach 10 losses, um, that is when the win barrier and the loss limit points reset back to 0, right? Their actual stats when it comes down to wins and losses doesn't reset. It's just the win barrier and the loss limit, okay? They will reset and then they will drop by 2, meaning that uh, in order to break the win barrier, it'll then, you know what I'm saying, only take 8 wins before 8 losses, okay? So when a team breaks the team barrier, the win barrier, they'll move to the next round. So real quick, let me go through the 3 rounds real quick. So the first round, in order to pass over from the first round into the second round, right? You have to get 10 wins before 10 losses. You got to break the win barrier of 10 wins before 10 losses. In order to cross over from the second round into the third round, you got to break the win barrier of 8 wins before 8 losses. And in order to cross over from the third round into the finals, you would have to win. You would have to break the win barrier of 6 wins before 6 losses. Okay. Yeah. So there we go. And by that time, we'll be ready to get to the finals. So, before we start talking about the finals real quick, um, just dabbling back into the +1 when it comes down to loss limit. Okay, when a team reaches a win barrier, okay, um, they'll get a +1 added to their loss limit. So let's say the Warriors, right? Which will be my team because I'm putting my character Damien in there. So when the Warriors or my team wins, get their breaks their win barrier of 10 wins before 10 losses, right? When they move to the next round, their win barrier and their loss limit resets back to 0. I mean, not back to 0. It resets back to 10, but then it drops by 2. Okay, which means it's going to be at, which means the new win barrier and new what is that, loss limit is now at 8 for both of them. However, they have won, right? They broke the win barrier, meaning that they were able to receive that +1 loss limit boost, meaning that they in order to reach or break their loss limit, now is gonna, instead of being 8, it's gonna be 9. Okay, that's just something. That's just a small reward for the teams that advance to each level. You know what I'm saying? To kind of help them out. And that advance to each round, just to kind of help them out a little bit. Okay. Hopefully y'all understand that. And that's going from round 1 into round 2, and from round 2 into round 3. All right. Now, with that motherfucking being said, Now we could talk about the finals, okay? So the top 10 teams from both conferences, the from both the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference that reaches 20 W's first or a 5-win streak will advance to a spot in the finals. So when they reached when a team has reached 20 W's, they would have went through all 3 rounds. You know what I'm saying? Um However, when a team has reached a 5-win streak, they don't have to be they don't have to go through all 3 rounds. They if they win a 5-win streak in the first fucking round, they automatically get a spot in the finals. They don't have to play in none of the other rounds. Okay. Now from there, from there, okay, with those 10 teams from each side of the from each conference, there the 10th place team will play the ninth place team, and the 8th place team will play the 7th place team. All right. The winner from the 10th and the ninth game will play the loser of the 8th and 7th game. All right. While the winner of the 8th and 7th game advances into the 7th spot in the finals. All right. The team that comes out on top of the 10th and ninth game winner versus the 8th and 7th game loser game will advance into the 8th spot in the finals. Stay with me, okay? I know that is a lot being said. If you have to rewind and listen to that, go ahead. This is basically being done just like the actual finals, okay? So if you know how the finals are played from those 10 teams, you know what I'm saying, then you know how the finals is going to be played here in this BlackTop finals. All right? Now, there's 4 levels in the finals, as we all know. All right? When the 8 spots have been filled, okay? So for me in my finals here for BlackTop, because I don't want it to be long, the season nor the finals, okay? Um each level there will be a best out of 3 games per match. Whereas in a regular like NBA season, there would be like a best out of 7 games. I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna take too long. So a best out of 3 games per match. Alright? Those who reach a tie will play against each other in a big 3v3 half court match. Okay? So that is what is that? Point guard, shooting guard, um point guard, shooting guard, and what is that called? The small forward. Okay? Point guard, shooting guard, small forward. Alright. 3v3. So a big 3v3 half court match for those teams that got into a tie. Basically, within the best out of 3, if the first team won the first game and the second team won the second game, then they would do this big 3v3 half court match. Okay. Now, the first one to score 12 points will win and can proceed to the next level. All right. Of the finals or whatnot. So that's how that's gonna work, and so so on and so forth. We keep doing it all the way down until we get to the last 2 teams. You know what I'm saying? Which is gonna be a team from the Western and a team from the Eastern conferences. Okay, and then that those 2 teams will play. Those 2 teams. Now I'll do a best out of 5 for that. Okay. Best out of 5 for the last 2 teams for the 4th level, the actual finals. Okay, it'll be a best out of 5. But with that being said, that's all that y'all need to know here about my NBA 2K22 BlackTop season and finals. Okay. Love, light, peace, power, and abundance to y'all. Ashe, amen. Period. Go ahead. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All right. And I am looking forward to this goddamn season in BlackTop. Hope y'all will enjoy it as much as I will. I require keep gaming, gamers. Deuce.